Everybody's always looking for budget versions of cards because, let's face it, cards can be expensive and maybe you don't have all the pieces you need right at this moment, but you can go and buy some cheaper ones that kind of do the same thing. These are not all going to do the same thing exactly. Some of them do, some of them don't, but they're pretty close seconds. Let's start with Birthing Pod. Everybody always wants a Birthing Pod. It's a crazy, really good way to just dump creatures from your deck, and it's a great way to combo off. It's amazing. There's a reason it was banned in Modern. But anyway, Birthing Pod lets you search for a creature equal to CMC 1 plus decide creature's mana costs and put it on the battlefield. So Pyre of Heroes is from Kaldheim, and it does the same thing, slightly different mana costs. So the only difference here is that when you search for a creature, it has to share a creature type with the one you just sacrificed. So that's a huge downside because you can't search for anything, but it's more or less the same after that. So if you've got a tribal deck, this thing will just pop off, and you can do Birthing Pod shenanigans for your tribal decks. So this is pretty cool. And price difference here is Birthing Pod, cheapest one from New Phyrexia, is $8.77, and Pyre of Heroes from Kaldheim is 54 cents. So, you're not getting exact, but it is a very budget version. Next up, of course, we've got Demonic Tutor. This thing is just so pricey, and everybody needs one in their black deck. And it's just so good. Search your library for a card and put it in your hand. You don't even have to reveal it. You just search for one into your hand. What black does best. Now, the replacement for this is Mastermind's Acquisition. Much more expensive. It's like double the price of mana for it. It does the same thing. Search your library for a card, put it in your hand, and shuffle. And if you're in a 60-card format, you can choose a card from outside the game and put it in your hand as well, so you've got some flexibility there. Basically, in Commander, it's a Diabolic Tutor, which is another cheap version of this. So you could go either one. They're fairly similarly priced. Demonic Tutor, cheapest one, is the Mystery Booster, and that will run you $39. Mastermind's Acquisition will run you $1.41 from Rivals of Ixalan, and Diabolic Tutor will run you 83 cents from Kaladesh. So Mastermind's Acquisition for 60-card formats, and Diabolic Tutor probably for Commander. So they do the same thing, just a little bit more pricey. Of course, where would we go next but Craterhoof Behemoth? Oh my gosh, this thing is just a big finisher. Everybody knows it. Everybody wants one. Everybody needs one in your green deck. It's so good. When it enters, your creatures gain trample and XX, where X is the number of creatures you control. So it's so powerful and it's so good. But if you don't have the $35.81 for Craterhoof Behemoth from Jumpstart, get yourself an End Raise Forerunners. It costs the exact same as Craterhoof. It's a little bit bigger, and it has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. And when it enters, other creatures you control get +2/+2, Vigilance, and Trample. So the buff isn't as big, but the creature itself is bigger, and they still get a buff, and they get Vigilance. It's kind of a nice, neat, budget-friendly version of Craterhoof for only 26 cents from the Game Night Free-for-All set. I mean, there's a huge difference here, but it is still worth mentioning here. Oh, also, if you get the Secret Lair version like this, that one will run you $28.38 instead of $35, so you save a few dollars. Or you could get this version here for about the same $28.50. if you're into the Secret Lair art. A kid drew this and an artist did their rendition, so it's neat, I guess. This next one is the biggest deviant in the matching, but Blood Moon from 8th edition. This is the cheapest one for $9.38. This one shuts down your opponents, makes all non-basics mountains. Boy, this can shut down a game hard. So if you're in red, this can really shut down opponents, and you can just slide in there for the win, and it's really nice. If you don't have almost $10 for this, which actually I feel like it used to be more than that, but the replacement is Blood Sun from Rivals of Ixalan, and this one will run you 85 cents from the Rivals of Ixalan promos. When it enters, you draw a card, so that's nice. And all lands lose all abilities except mana abilities, so you can shut down those Urborgs, or you can shut down like Maze of Ith, stuff like that. It really shuts down people who are relying too heavily on land shenanigans, in my opinion. So it just kind of puts everybody at a more even playing field. So if you are running this, you will get a lot of dirty looks, but it's not a blood moon, so you're gonna be a little less of an enemy. But hey, there it is. Not exactly the same, but actually pretty similar in a lot of ways. Last but not least, we've got Force of Will. This one is just probably the best counter spell ever made. Like you can just run a counter spell, but that's 2 blue mana. But this one is technically free. So this one's pricey. This Force of Will from Dominaria Remastered is going to run you 60-78. The replacement here is Misdirection. Now this isn't a 1-for-1 counter spell, but it's the same CMC. You can exile a blue card from your hand rather than paying its cost, and you can change the target of a spell with a single target. So it's not hard countering it, but you are changing the target to something else, which can be really good in a lot of situations. So I don't. It's like, again, not 1-for-1, but it is really cool that it's got more or less the same cool mana cost, so you don't have to hard cast a 5 mana counter spell. Force of Will, that Dominaria Remastered one, is 60-78. It is not the cheapest, actually. Everybody should be running the gold bordered cards. Come on, everybody's got sleeves. You can't even see the back anyway. Just, they're technically not tournament legal, but who cares? In a commander pod, if you don't allow this, you're silly. But the gold border ones will run you $22.53, so it's like a third of the price of the regular one. Misdirection from the mystery boosters is $3.11. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. These will not stay the same price. They could go up, they could go down, but as of right now, this is kind of where they're at, and I think they'll stay in that kind of zone of just a budget replacement. So hopefully these help out. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss your weekly dose of magic.